In today's recipe, we're gonna be making some nice juicy pork chops, and I'm gonna show you how to get this right every single time. Make sure that you watch the recipe entirely because I have a few tips that never fail. Now, before you start doing anything else, make sure that your pork chops are out of the fridge for half an hour to an hour before you start cooking. This will ensure that they get a room temperature, and by getting to room temperature, they will cook evenly. When you get your pork chops, try to go slightly thicker. Now, as you can see, these are kind of uneven, but something really important is to get it on the bone, because if you get it on the bone retain the moisture into the meat. Not that you're gonna eat the bone, let's be honest. Now, something else to consider. As you can see, we've got a nice rind here. Some people don't like it, it's totally up to you. But instead of removing it before cooking, if you don't like it, I will remove it after cooking. Because what this does, it protects the steak, keeping it nice and moist. And also, when you fry it, it will release all that flavor. Obviously, fat is flavor. So all together with the fat that's got underneath, it will release it into the pan, giving it a better flavor to your pork chop. If you decide to keep it with the rind on, what you need to do, because if you put it in the pan like this, it will curl up. And then what will happen, it will not cook evenly. So what you want to do, just make some cuts every here and there, just like this. Pretty easy process, nothing complicated, but important in the same time, because if you're not going to do this, your steak will go literally like this. By the way, make sure you stick around because I have a few more things here going on in order to get the best pork chop cooked in the pan. Now, seasoning. When it comes to seasoning, you can go with whichever the ingredients and spices and whatever you prefer. I like to keep it simple, salt and pepper. So good pinch of salt on each side of the pork, and same with the pepper. Just make sure that you go with freshly grounded black pepper. It will give you so much better results. With the pork season, now you want to set a pan on medium-high heat. Now, when it comes to oils, you can have quite a few varieties. In this situation, I'm using rapeseed oil, but you can go, if you want, with avocado oil, peanut oil, sunflower oil, and so on. Just make sure that you choose something that's resistant to high heat, so it doesn't burn whilst cooking. So when the pan is hot enough, you want to go in with about 1 to 2 tablespoons, no more than that, just because the fat in the steak, in the pork chop actually, it's more than enough. So you don't want to go with too much, otherwise it's going to float in oil. Now, depending on the thickness of the pork chop, you want to cook these for about 4 minutes on each side. Now, there is a bit of a debate when it comes to the cooking temperature of the pork. In the US, it's 145 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 62 degrees Celsius in Europe. But on the other hand, in Europe, it's 75 degrees Celsius, which in the US is 167. I think, probably towards 70 degrees Celsius, which I don't know exactly what the equivalent in Fahrenheit would be. That's probably the temperature when you're gonna retain enough moisture into your pork chop. It's not gonna be dry, but in the same time, it's gonna be kind of safe to eat. That's how I do it in order to get the best results. Nice and beautiful golden brown color on the outside. This is what gives the flavor to your pork chop in the end. You want to make sure that you achieve this. I want to add some butter in. And what I'm going to do, same like if you've seen some of my steak videos, which by the way, I'm going to leave one up here if you want to go and see how to cook the perfect steak. I'm going to go in with the butter, about 20 grams of butter. And I've got here garlic, 3 cloves of garlic, which I'm going to crush them before getting them in. It might look like a lot, but all you get is like a light flavor of garlic, few sprigs of thyme, they work really well with pork, and something that I've been looking in so many shops, which I finally found, a few leaves of sage. Sage and pork, perfect friends. Now, when your butter is melted, you're gonna start basting, punching even more flavor into your steak from the garlic, from the sage, from the thyme, and everything else. And also even the butter, once it caramelizes, it has its own flavor. So all these combined will get your pork chops to a whole new level. Now let me show you the rind. As you can see, we've got a bit of caramelization here on the side, but still we need more cooking. So what you can do, if you decide that you want to eat some of that rind and together with the fat, is actually quite good if you like it. If you don't bother. Then just hold your pork chop like this and it will cook that a bit better because there is no way to cook it on the side. Important step here. When you're happy with your pork chops, whichever the temperature might be for you, whether US, whether Europe, whether you want to go for somewhere in the middle, remove them from the heat. Once you remove them from the heat, give them about 3-4 minutes so they rest. The meat will become more relaxed and tender. If you enjoyed this recipe, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I have another video right here on how to make the perfect sirloin steak medium rare in the pan. Check it out and I'll see you in the next one.